to the Athletes in Motion podcast, From Race to Recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
I am fantastic, Tom. How are you?
I'm fantastic as well. We are back again with our third athlete for the Triathlete's Journey series, part of our podcast that we've been talking about and launching all the way out. We have Leo Silva, and I didn't do your full Brazilian name. That's wonderful. I'm going to let you do that because you will do it with much more flair than I will. But we've got Leo here. We're super excited. Leo just was getting into triathlon last year, right? And now we're stepping up big time. You're actually jumping all the way up to 70.3 distance. So this is interesting. So let's start with your background. What bet did you lose that you got into triathlon?
Man, it's really funny because thanks for having me, Kenny and Tom, first of all. One of our best friends, Allison Sussman, she was a member of Beat. She just moved to Knoxville, and she started doing triathlons about 2 years ago. And I'm like, you are crazy, you're nuts, why are you doing this? And last year or 2022, she did the Memphis 70.3. And, I would see her training and I was like, why are you doing this, Allison? This sounds miserable. She's like, no, I know and she has always been like super positive about it. And in 2022, that same year, our son, Lucas, who at the time was 5, he did the Nolensville Kids Try. He has always been a super active kid. We love biking together and he has always been a good runner. I mean, every kid can run, right? I had to work with him a little bit on pacing, right? Because he would sprint and then walk and sprint and walk. I was like, you can't do that. Let's just try to keep a steady pace. And he did the Nolensville Kids Try. And I was amazed. I had never watched a race. I was there and it was funny because I was there with my wife and our youngest. And at one point, a couple came to my wife and asked, like, where's your husband? And she said, oh, he took off after our son. And they're like, oh, first year, right? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, we all do this in the first year. And the dad is always running and encouraging. And, after that, he had a lot of fun. After that, I was like, maybe I can get into this. It doesn't sound too bad. It sounds super exciting, like everyone cheering you on. And then this was in August, and then Allison kept pressuring me. Let's do one next year. And then I signed up for the Iron Nugget in Dixon. And I think that's in the beginning of May.
Yep.
I
water.
Borrowed freezing, and she never told me how expensive it was. Like she always told me how awesome it was. And I've always enjoyed swimming. I've always enjoyed cycling. I never liked running. I always hated running. But I was like, I'll get through it. It's a sprint. I can do a 5K. For swimming, I'm from Brazil originally. I grew up near the ocean. My parents signed me up for a lifeguarding course when I was like 8. Like learn the ocean, learn the currents, because I wanted to surf. Yeah. My brother is a big time surfer, so they said if you want to surf, you need to learn how to get out of the ocean. And that was the extent of my swimming. I know how to swim in the ocean.
How to survive.
I'm comfortable. How to survive, right?
That's actually a lot better than most triathletes.
Most people do it the opposite.
Honestly. Yeah, right.
And I love ocean swim. I love, going under the waves and all of that. And I love, body surfing. And that's when I started swimming, that's when you realize how better of a swimmer you are. Because I joined Lifetime because I was like, I need a pool. We joined Lifetime. It's a great gym if you have kids because they have a lot of kids programs. And then I joined the Master Swim. And on the first day, the coach was like, "Oh, Leo, you're the new guy, Coach Ella, she's amazing." She's like, "Leo, you're the new guy. What's your background?" And I'm like, "Background? I have no background. I grew up swimming to survive." And I think she was a little disappointed because she was like, "Oh, so and so is training for Kona. So and so is a college swimmer." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I'm gonna fit right in.
I'll be over here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I had my own lane for a while, which was fine. But so I started training. I remember Allison. She said, "Hey, there's going to be this one at MTSU 2 weeks before the Iron Nugget, and it's a pool swim instead of a lake swim." And I'm like, "That sounds awesome. Let's do that first." I I borrowed a bike from one of my coworkers. I work at an awesome place. Everyone is like, we have a fantastic work environment. So I told my coworker, she's like, "Hey, my husband has a road bike. Do you want to borrow it?" Because at that point I was doing it with my mountain bike. And I was like, "Okay, that's great." And I asked her, I was like, "How tall is he?" And she's like, "Okay, he's about your size, And I'm like, "Okay, can I come and get the bike?" And she's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I get there and I meet her husband, and he's like 6'2", and I'm 5'11", 5'10", and I'm like, "Crystal, he's not my height." And I think that the bike was a 58. Right now I ride a 54. Right. And I'm like,
I was going to say, you're right? Just like
seat slammed all the way down.
Yeah, no kidding.
His
hips are doing this.
Shoes, his shoes were bigger, obviously, but that's what I had. I remember that day, it was like late April, and the weather here is crazy. So we all thought that the weather was going to be great, and on the day of the triathlon, it was like 40 degrees, and you get out of the pool, you're soaking wet, you go get your bike, and it's 40 degrees. I had brought my ski gloves with me because I was like, I'm gonna need something, and I forgot to put them on. I was so like nervous, on the first transition. Yeah. And I remember when I got back from the bike, I could not take my shoes off because my hands were so cold. And so I'm like here trying to warm them up, and it was really cool. I graduated from MTSU, so the whole run is on campus, and it was really awesome. And I think that triathlon was on Saturday. By Wednesday, I had bought a tri bike. Like I went on Facebook Marketplace.
There you go.
Researched everywhere. And I talked to a few people, and they're like, you should probably get a road bike. And I was like, no, I want to do triathlons. I'm a triathlete now. And that's cool. I ended up getting a tri bike.
Love it.
I drove all the way to Knoxville to get it. And funny thing was it was on a day that my wife was out of town for work, and I had both of her kids. I was responsible for dropping them off and picking them up from school. So I had like a very short window to go get the bike in Knoxville. So Allison, she had both of her kids were in the same schools as our kids. And I said, "Look, you got me into this. If I don't get back in time, you're picking up our kids." And she's like, "Totally fair. I gotcha." But, I was able to run there. The guy kind of drove a little bit my way, and I got a really good deal on it, and that's awesome. After that, I did the Iron Nugget. I did the Music City, I did Old Hickory, and then I did an Olympic in Knoxville, the K-Town on the river. Yeah. And so I've been loving it. I think that, the training is a lot of fun because you're doing different things, right? You're not just running or not just swimming or not just biking, you're doing all three. And it's really cool, when you start at the very bottom and you're horrible at it, it's really cool to see your improvement, right? Because I'm the numbers type of guy. So I kept a spreadsheet with all of my times, all of my, bike speed, my swim speed, and, my pace for the run. And I can see kind of like the improvement. So I'm excited to see how that changes from last year to this year.
Nice.
Yeah, what's really kind of neat though is, I mean, you approach your first triathlon with a bike that's way too big, 40-degree weather, you can't get your hands open, yet the bug bit you, right?
Yeah.
After,
Oh,
despite all of
hard.
that, you were
Despite
like,
all of that. Yeah.
despite all of that, you're like, I'm still going to do this, right? So for 2024, what do you have on the calendar?
So I had Chattanooga on the calendar. That was going to be my goal.
Mhm.
I started training for that uh, in January, and then I had the ski accident that we talked about, and I'm sure we're going to talk
Mhm.
about it. So I moved Chattanooga uh, to I guess re-registered to Augusta in September. I think September 29th.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then right now I'm signed up for Music City and Old Hickory, and I'll probably do a few more. I'm just trying to work my schedule because our kids are doing triathlons as well, and so
It's crazy. Yeah.
their races will take priority over mine. Because they don't have as many. So if there is a kids race, we're gonna do that. We did, the Nolensville Kids Tri last year. We did a kids triathlon in Knoxville, and we might try to go. I think there is one in Bowling Green, and there is one in Louisville that we're gonna try to
There's a
maybe
new,
go. I still
yeah,
have
they
to.
brought Louisville back, so that's good. And then Heat has one up in Hendersonville.
Yeah, yeah. So we're doing that one
So
too.
good.
That's cool. And your kids are just like, I think they love it, right? It's just sort of it's fun
Yeah,
with
and I
through a kid's eyes, right? Because no one told them it's supposed to be hard and difficult and you're supposed to whine about it. They just go do it, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
and you get a medal, right? You get a medal in
yeah,
the end, and
exactly.
that's what they care about. And
Mhm.
I think that it's such a cool environment, right? If
Yeah.
you I had never really done any type of racing. I had never done a 5K
Yeah.
before I started doing this, and you see everyone cheering you on. It's just really awesome. It's a
Oh
really
yeah.
Yeah.
good feeling. You finish the race, everyone is happy. Like no, I grew up
Yeah.
playing sports, uh, but there was always a winner and a loser in the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And sometimes when you play team sports, you can be playing your best, but if your team is not, you're going to lose, and that can be frustrating. And I feel like with triathlon or these individual sports, it's like it's up to you. Like
Mhm.
if you don't do good on the run, you know what to work on. Obviously, there are things that can happen in the middle of the race, but
Mhm.
in the end of the day, everyone wins. Everyone is happy. Everyone is excited. It's like a big party. So I really enjoyed that, and the kids really like that too.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
the environment's
Yeah.
really kind of nice and it's family friendly and
Yeah,
everybody, everybody roots for everybody. You've got a whole environment where the kids can see people that are happy and doing hard things and that kind of thing. It's great. I remember I had an opportunity as you were talking, Leo. I remember my son's 23 now, but when he was 6, he did a duathlon in Sacramento where it was a kind of a run and then a bike and a run. We got him a road bike. It was a little specialized road bike, but the parents were able to ride with him. So I had a parent thing
Oh,
because he was
cool.
only 6 at the time. And it was and so I got to ride with him while he's doing it and just watching, to your point, just watching him, seeing the other kids and looking around and knowing, he's trying to run to compete. And as soon as he gets done, he's thinking about the next year. Okay, how am I going to do this? And what do I need to do? And it's just, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to see
yeah,
kind of through their eyes. Sometimes you forget kind of, I think with the way we pressure ourselves as adults and the way we set expectations and, those kind of things. And then if you just watch it through their eyes, it reminds them, you can just go have fun and go do
Yeah.
some really
yeah.
cool stuff. So
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I really like is the fact that we can train together, right? Like
yeah,
our 6 year
That's the
old, sometimes
best.
we'll go
yeah,
to the track near the high school near our house at the high school near our house, and we'll just run laps. And
yeah,
sometimes he's like, "Hey, can you time me?" And I'll time him, and he's like, "All right, I want to do it again. I want to do it faster."
that's neat.
So he's a very competitive child, and I think I'm competitive too, and they see. Uh, I think one of the coolest things is how they see you working hard, and then they want to do it too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
So
being
that
able
is
to
super neat.
incorporate them in is the best part of it, right? That's
yeah,
what makes triathlon. I feel for
yeah,
folks who like get the bug for the sport and they're doing the sport, but their family isn't interested or doesn't want to be involved or
Thanks, Tom.
whatever, I feel for some
Yeah.
of those, right? But no, there's some it's very negative. It's
Yeah.
especially see it female athletes where they
Mhm.
don't get the support from their families, the husbands, especially the female
Yeah.
athletes. And I can see where it wears on them. I mean, this is an empowering thing for people, and to be able to
Mhm.
include the family in, especially young kids, and get them excited about it and train with it. That's the more things we can do
Yeah.
active with family. I mean, that's it. And then there's Kenny, and that's a
Yeah.
completely
Yeah. They don't want to.
like, yeah.
Well, and this
Well,
is
the
something
day
that I
that my
had.
kids actually ran faster than me, that's what killed me. Is it's
Then
they show up
you
to
told
cross
them
country
not
and
to
they're
show
laying
up.
down. Yeah, they're laying down like sub 5
Get away
minute
from me.
pace, and I'm like, you guys suck.
Well, and this is kind of a deal that I had with my wife. She has been incredible, super supportive. She's the type of person that if I tell her like, "Hey, I'm gonna take on, whatever, jujitsu, or I'm gonna take on, you name it," she will be supportive and she'll say, "Hey, go do it, go for it, go hard." Um, so one of the deals that I had with her is like, obviously I want to train. It takes a lot of time, but family comes first. And on weekends, I need to incorporate or schedule into my training. If I need to do a long run or a long bike ride, I have to wake up at 5 a.m, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times, if I'm doing a run or if I'm doing a bike ride, the kids are coming. We have a trailer. I'll put them on the bike. I'll put both kids on the bike, and there you go. It's like 120 pounds extra that I am carrying.
It's good.
And, in the end of the day, it's great. And the same thing with the run, our youngest is 4. He likes running. He likes to do everything that his big brother is doing, but he can't run as fast as him. And he will sprint to keep up with his big brother. And then he'll be like, "I'm tired." And then he'll go on the stroller, and then I'll push him. And so that's kind of how we do it. We will,
Mhm.
we'll find a way to make sure that the kids are involved. We all have bikes. Our 4-year-old is now riding his bike too.
Nice.
I created this attachment, this bike rack or trailer for a bike trailer. So I put together some like PVC pipes, and I had an old bike rack that I cut and I adapted to fit on the back of the wagon, the bike wagon. So now we can put 2 bikes there. So if we go on a bike ride and the kids get exhausted, then I have to carry the 2 of them and their 2 bikes.
Oh my
but
goodness.
again,
Yeah.
it
You're
helps
up to
my
200
training, right?
pounds
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
your
for
strength
sure.
training
That's funny.
and go through.
Yeah.
So with so many smaller races up front, how is do you have a coach first off?
I don't.
Or are you
No.
okay? And
So
do you like
I
that or don't
have
like
been.
that?
So for now, Kenny, I'm the type of guy that I love knowledge, right?
Uh-huh.
I love knowing and learning. So
Mhm.
what I'm doing, I'm currently doing the USA
That's
Triathlon
right.
Level 1 coaching certification. I've read a bunch of books. So I'm following that training for my training. And again, I just started following a plan in the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
And I was doing that for Chattanooga, and I will start doing that now in May, preparing for Augusta.
Yeah.
Okay, so for right now, for the smaller races, what you're doing is just maintaining good shape or effort, and then ramp in later in the year. Is that the plan, or what's?
So tell us about the hiccup in the training, because you were going to do the 70.3 Chattanooga, which was May.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we're almost into
happened,
April
right?
right here. This episode will come out. It'll be April, the first week in April. So what happened? Take us through that
Yeah.
that
So
little hiccup.
we went on a ski trip to France. This is something that we planned. We're big planners. We plan vacations as soon as the kids' calendar comes out. So we planned this ski trip to France. My family from Brazil, they met us there, and we're gonna be there for a week. And on the first day out snowboarding, I got hit from behind and had a level 4 kidney injury.
Wow.
Now, kidney injuries go from, I guess, level 0 or level 1 to level 5. I thought it was from 1 to 10. That's what I was hoping when they said I had a level 4.
Yeah.
It's
like,
never
level
that
4
way.
is not bad.
4's okay,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is
Yeah.
DEFCON
So
5. This is
yeah.
you were up in there. That's dangerous
So
territory.
got a pretty nasty injury. I ended up staying in France for 2 weeks at the hospital.
Wow.
Didn't
And this
have
is
to have the
January?
kidney. This is February.
February.
First week
Okay.
of February. Yeah.
Okay.
So the injury happened on the 5th. And then I was in France until the 23rd. So that, right now I'm not training. I can't train right now. I'm still recovering from the injury. It was, I had blood,
Wow.
when I would go to the bathroom, it like
Yeah.
that first 10 days, it was just blood coming out. So pretty
That's
bad,
not scary at all.
but I'm very lucky. And I think that the fact that I was training and I started training in January, and I was training, 6 days a week. The fact that I was doing that really helped. I remember when I got to the hospital, they were looking at my vitals and they were like, "What do you do?" And I told them I work for a wealth management firm, and they're like,
sit at
"No,
a
no, no,
desk."
no. What do you do? What do you do for exercise?" I said, "Well,
Oh.
I'm a triathlete, right?" And
She's
it was
sorry
like,
she asked.
just, and it was in French. I was like, "Je suis triathlete," and they were like, "Okay, that explains a lot because your numbers are really good."
Yeah.
So that put a stop on my training plan. I am, I had my 6th CT scan this week. Things have been improving a lot. I was hoping right now I currently have a stent connecting my bladder to my kidney to relieve some pressure from the kidney. That has helped a lot on the healing. And I was hoping that was going to be removed yesterday. But after the scan, the doctor called and said, "Hey, we're going to keep it for another month." Things have been, progressing really well. And I'm not in pain. And this is the crazy thing. I was in pain for the first 2 days, and that was it. So, I've been feeling great. But after my call with the doctor on Tuesday, he said, "We're going to keep the stent until the 22nd of April. But you can increase your activities a little bit." So that day I went for a swim. I pushed a little bit too hard on the swim. I don't know if I was just too excited, and I'm fine. But I was just going at it. I was like, "This feels so great." And I swam like 500 meters. But this weekend, I'm probably going to go for a super light run. So I can do like zone 1, zone 2 training right now, but nothing that will get my heart rate too high. They want to make sure that things continue to heal. Yeah. So I told the doctor, I said, I think that the first question that I asked him when I came to see him was like, "When can I start training again?" And he was like, "Whoa, calm down. Like,
I have races coming up
yesterday."
Exactly.
Yeah. And I did tell him, I said, "I know that Chattanooga is not an option. Can I do a race in the end of September?" And he said, "Okay, how long do you need to train?" And I said, "I need 20 to 22 weeks. And I knew the date that I would need to start. And it was May 6th. And he said, "Okay, you're going to be fine. You can sign up for the race. You're going to be fine. I'm hoping that you're good to go, mid and April." And I'm pretty optimistic that's what's going to happen. And if it doesn't, we'll just wait a little bit longer. At this point, I am just very fortunate that, I didn't lose a kidney. I think a portion of it is kind of like not working as it should. So like, if I were to sell one of my kidneys, I would have to sell it at a discount. I can't get full price for my right kidney.
Yeah.
Well, Leo, you're not looking at the silver lining. You spent Valentine's Day in France. I mean,
by myself, because my
okay.
My
well, I'm just we're not doing the whole, but you did
But-
spend Valentine's Day in France.
But
You
know
were
what?
eating
I was
French
back.
food for 2 weeks.
Bad hospital food.
I'll tell you this, Tom. I took pictures every day because they would have like this little piece of paper with what the food was, and it sounded awesome. It sounded like when you go to like a super nice restaurant because you had everything in French.
It's in French.
Yeah.
But
It sounds wonderful.
And you know, I remember for the first 2 days, I couldn't eat. I wouldn't feel like eating. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I need to get my energy back. I lost 12 pounds at the hospital when I was there in 2 weeks. So I'm still trying to gain it back. And I'll be fine. But you ask Kenny if I'm not working with a coach. One person I'm working with is someone on nutrition, a nutrition coach. I think that, you know, that was something that I would be terrified. I don't know anything about nutrition. So I really wanted to get someone to work with me and come up with a plan. So Karel Laurent is my nutritionist. She's awesome. We basically have been going over, like, you know, what I eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, like all of that. And I can tell that has helped when I was training. Like, you know, she said, you need to add this and this and this to your breakfast. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, I would feel great. So the little things that you don't know, right?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I mean, zone 1, zone 2 is not a bad thing right now either. I mean,
absolutely.
There's a lot of very good, you know, training programs that just try to keep you in zone 2 for a certain amount of time, right? Because if you can just keep that heart rate low, you can start working on efficiency, and that's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're at zero. I mean, it's great that you got out and swam. Just you got to just control yourself, right? Which is you know, get rid of the little excitable puppy. I know it. Trust me.
You have the Olympics coming up, right? Like, so that's you think about that, and you're like, man, I got to get my times up. You know, my times down. So, my goal is for the next month to really get my base going. So when I start training, I'm not starting from zero. So I'm just super excited.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Good.
It's great. So,
and, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say, you go ahead. We're tripping over each other here. We're looking forward to following along with you. So we're going to be checking in on a regular basis. We don't have any set plan for it, but we're going to be checking in as we do all our athletes for this program. And we'll get all the updates, and we're excited to follow along on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be good.
Yeah.
So,
can't wait.
Yeah. So here we go. Thanks everybody for checking in. Follow along. Make sure to subscribe. Once again, I was going to say that at the beginning and I keep forgetting. One of these days, I'm going to put a little note for myself. Say, don't forget to subscribe. So you don't want to miss an episode. We've got 3 athletes we're following for the Triathlete's Journey. We're really excited about this whole season. This season's just going to be great anyway, because it's triathlon season and we love triathlon. So, and any endurance sports at that point, but we're going to have a good time with that. So please keep up with comments, thumbs up, 5 stars, all that good stuff gets the ratings and spreads the good word to more and more people. So thank you so much for everyone for checking in. Leo, we're excited. We're going to have fun with this.
Stay healthy.
Really good. Stay healthy. Fingers crossed. Do what the doctor tells you. You're going to get there good. Kenny, as always, is fantastic. Enjoy this. So, and everybody, we will catch you on the next episode.